My thoughts on the Paul McCartney show last night at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Now, before I get into this, please don't forget to hit the like button, comment on this video, share this video, and if you still haven't, please subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell for updates. Okay, so with that out of the way, I was pretty kind of reluctant to go see Paul McCartney after I saw the SNL 50 episode where Paul McCartney performed a few songs on there, and I felt like his voice was very weak, and I mentioned something about it on the SNL video 50 video I spoke about, and so I was kind of just like I couldn't sit through a couple of hours of that. And however, it was the day of, I was able to get a ticket for this, and a friend got me a ticket, and so we went. And we were talking about these kind of old legends, and still it's Paul McCartney, and we never heard anybody say who went to a concert of Paul McCartney say it sucked. So that being said, I just pretty much went, and if his voice did sound like like very horrible, very bad, then oh well, at least I got to see Paul McCartney, kind of thing. And his voice was really good compared to that video of SNL 50. He really improved on it, and the sound and everything about the show was really cool. um, I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of Paul McCartney, and I mean, I love the Beatles songs and everything like that, but some of his solo stuff was questionable for me. I was more of a George Harrison fan, and however, the Beatles, there's two of them alive. They are an endangered species, so why not go see it? And to my surprise, I was entertained. Of course, uh, you can't go wrong when your opening song of your set is "Help." A song he hasn't played since 1965, and he was going on and playing deep cuts of the Beatles, from "The Benefit of Mr. Kite," songs like that. Um, of course, he had his songs that he's really famous for, like Blackbird, and of course the show strips down to just him on the guitar acoustically, and he plays "I Just Seen a Face" and "Love Me Do," from "Love Me Do" all the way to Abbey Road material, or even "Now and Then," the song they recently pieced together through recordings of John Lennon and the other three. And it wasn't a song I cared about. I made a video about it, and he did perform that song. It was okay. Some of the newer material he performed, there was this one song where I had Johnny Depp on the video screen and Natalie Portman, and they were sign languaging his lyrics, songs that a song he was singing, and I thought that was kind of dumb. However, when it got to some of the more familiar songs like "Jet," "Coming Up," "Ben on the Run," "Maybe I'm Amazed," there's a lot of songs that I just kind of remembered and said, "Wow, this is great." And a lot of the Beatles stuff, "Helter Skelter," he has a whole arsenal of great songs. And so up until the end, which was from the Abbey Road album, he played not "You Never Give Me Any Money," but the that whole, not the whole side of Abbey Road, but pieces of it. "Golden Slumber" to "Carry That Weight" to the end and everything, and that was it. But all the other stuff in between, the Sergeant Pepper material he was playing, great band. He had a great horn section. Everything sounded good because that stadium sounds like shit, but he was even speaking about it like how he has like the greatest sound engineers and whatnot, and yeah, it did sound really good. I was surprised because that stadium, unless you're on the floor, it sounds good. But if you're like where we were like up on um, the 300 section, but it sounded good, and he really made sure of that. And so he went through his whole history, like even before the Beatles. He played a Quarrymen song that him and John used to play, and I guess up until now and then. And he, I liked his wit was one thing. There was a moment in the show where he was like reading the signs, because this show, for one thing, had the most signs that audience members were holding up. And one guy said on his sign says, "I was there in '65 at Shea," like say Shea Stadium, right? The last show the Beatles performed at, and he was like, "I was there too," and people holding up signs saying like 199, and he's asking him, "So this is your 199th show?" And obviously people are still in love with this guy. I mean, when the lights went out, I mean, it was a really loud roar like I haven't heard in a lot in a lot of shows. So everyone was just like, hey, they're getting to see a beetle. I got to see a beetle. It's an endangered species. There's only two of them left. And so there were some great moments too regarding the other members on the screen. One of them was, Paul being able to sing with John again on "I've Got a Feeling." That was the encore. And they just put out John's isolated vocal track, and his part in the song, "Everybody Had a Wet Dream," and that whole thing that John sings, and back and forth with Paul. So that was really cool. And to honor George Harrison, he played something. He started it off in a ukulele, and then he gradually brought the whole band into it. "Love Me Do," "I Just Seen a Face." I mean, he just kept on just kicking my ass with the Beatles stuff, and just kicking my ass as well with the Wing songs that I just like haven't heard in so long, whether it was Jet or Coming Up, Band on the Run, Maybe I'm Amazed, and Live and Let Die was really cool. They had a great visual enhancement show with lasers and explosions, fire, and everything like that. Helter Skelter was great. So I mean, it was what I was expected. If you're gonna see someone who's an epic, icon, and who's been doing the rock thing longer than most people, and the ones who kind of started it, as far as like after Elvis, right? You're gonna go see someone of that stature. It's just like, of course it's gonna be good. There's no point in me doing a review of Paul McCartney, because it's just like, if someone asked me, well, was the Paul show good? It was Paul McCartney. Of course it's going to be good. And he just pretty much didn't seem like he sweated at all. He was just like went through this whole thing, up to 3 hours of material. And, it was a great show. It was the second show of the tour. So he's, yeah. First one was Palm Desert, California. Second was Las Vegas. And this is it right here. The Got Back Tour 2025. So if you are having any qualms about whether you should see Paul McCartney or not, I mean, like I said, he's a Beatle. We all know the songs. We all love the songs. We all love even some of his solo stuff. I'm much more of a George Harrison fan as far as the solo stuff is concerned. But you know what? He's a Beatle, and that alone, I mean, it's not a hard sell, right? And the day of, ticket prices were very reasonable, especially like a couple of hours before the show. There were still some tickets out there. We were able to get some, and hey, it was a great night. So let me know what your thoughts are on the Paul McCartney show. Did you guys see it last night at Allegiant Stadium? Give me a, thumbs up on it, thumbs down. Like, I'm sure, everyone who walked out of that was satisfied. I was. So, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not the biggest Paul McCartney fan, but you know what? He knows what he's doing. He's been doing it that long. And with that, I'll shut up and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.